We are live.
Good evening, everyone. I'm calling to order this special council meeting. And I'd ask that as you're able, we all stand for the reading of the invocation. As we come together today, we recognize the great responsibilities laid upon us. Our council will always strive to understand the needs of the people we serve and to use power wisely and well. Our purpose is to establish and maintain a city of prosperity and righteousness where freedom prevails and where justice rules. Let us also not forget those who've served our community, who are no longer with us, and the work that we must continue to do, the work that we are in their memory. Please be seated. Tonight, we're assisted by Deputy City Clerk Chris Gauthier and providing clerking services for the meeting as Emma Vokes. So, Mr. Deputy Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Councillor Samwell.
Here.
Councillor Hunt.
Here.
Councillor Martin.
Here.
Councillor Caputo.
Present.
Councillor Sicoli.
Here and present.
Councillor Van Tilborg.
Here.
Councillor Carpenter.
Here.
Councillor McCreary.
Here.
Councillor Sless.
Present.
Councillor Sullivan.
Present.
And Mayor Davis.
Present.
Through the chair, roll call's been taken.
Thank you very much. So, members of council, if anybody has a pecuniary interest regarding any of the items that are on tonight's agenda, now is your time to declare it by raising your hand. Seeing no raised hands, no one is declaring a conflict. So we'll now move into the presentation delegations. We have one registered delegation for tonight's agenda, and that's 6 individuals attending on behalf of the Bulldogs Hockey Club. So I'll now ask those 6 members of the Bulldogs Hockey Club, if you please come forward to speak to item 4.1, which is the term sheet for the OHL team agreement for Brantford. So if anybody has, assuming nobody has any objections, I'll be a little lenient on the time period so that everybody has an opportunity to ask any questions they might have of the delegation. So with that, I'd ask the delegation to please, first of all, introduce yourself. I need you to state your name and address and who else is with you in the delegation.
An address? All right.
City's good enough.
My name is Michael Landlauer, living in the city of Oakville, or town of Oakville, I should say. I'm the owner of the Hamilton Bulldogs. To my left is Matt Turek, our general manager of our hockey club and a resident of
Hamilton.
And to my right is Jeff Ilya, our vice president of business operations and a resident of Oakville. Okay. Should I get started?
Yes, floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, councillors and staff. Thank you for this opportunity. I'd rather hold it to questions and answers. If you probably have questions, and I'm happy to answer all questions. This is a wonderful day for me in particular, after 20 years in Hamilton and having a successful hockey franchise, both in the American Hockey League and the Ontario Hockey League, most recently last 6 years in the Ontario Hockey League. We've hit crossroads, as most of you have read, but I wanted to present what the opportunity lies for the city of Brantford. And instead of me talking about it, our wonderful staff did this video this week just to articulate that we're more than just a hockey team. So if I can allow the video to roll, or
Yes, I think we're all set up to do that. Mr. Deputy Clerk.
Bulldogs hockey. It's more than just a sport. It's something bigger. The intensity and passion on display as soon as you enter the arena, bringing a sense of unity and hometown pride. It's a community coming together to connect before and after every game. Fans rallying in the stands behind their team, forging lasting memories and sharing an unforgettable experience. Whether it's at a friend's house, the rink, or at a bar or restaurant. It's about building an inclusive environment, developing friendships, and breaking barriers. Setting an example for the future, inspiring the next generation of athletes. Bulldogs players inspiring us to be our best selves, embodying the spirit of teamwork, determination, and never giving up. Drawing in crowds to the core. Supporting local businesses each night. Creating national attention, showcasing what that city is all about to outsiders looking in. And while making sure we give back, giving back in the form of business, scholarships, donations, support, experiences. And of course, a W. Bulldogs hockey. It's all the above and more.
So hopefully this same spirit can be extended to Brantford and hoping to make the city proud. I'll leave it to questions.
All right, so the floor is open for questions. If anybody would like to, yes, we'll start with Councillor Martin.
Thank you very much. Welcome, and I hope we can complete this in along with the terms of the term sheet. I just have one question from the term sheet. One of the things it specifies is 2 Zambonis and Zamboni drivers. Anytime I've been to a hockey game, I've only ever seen one. Is there a reason for a second one?
So have I. To be honest with you. We're not sure. Maybe it's relevant experience for no, that wouldn't be safe, I guess. No, you're absolutely right. They would only need to be one.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
definitely have 2 Zambonis. Sometimes you have 2 Zambonis to hurry to make the flood faster.
Yeah.
But I think in this case, it's I don't know, Matt, from a game, we have 18 minutes to get the flood done and
even sometimes there's events that happen, whether they're sponsored events or social events to bring kids on the ice and have a mini game. The league wants the ice done quickly to not extend the intermission.
Yeah, I would just add, just operationally, and that's out of our realm here, but the quicker the ice dries, the faster they get back to playing, the better the quality of the ice. So if 2 machines can get it done in 4 minutes compared to 1 in 8 or 9 minutes, the ice dries up and is ready to play and in better shape to get started.
Okay. Well, good luck with everything. I hope everything works out, and I'd love to see you stay here permanently, but time will tell on that one.
thank you, Councillor.
Councillor Scully.
I have a much easier question. We saw a little glimpse of what I think is a new logo for your team at the end there. Is that done? That's the new logo?
That's not permanent. We did, our creative did something really quickly this week. That'll be the actual Bulldog logo itself will stay the same, but we typically have third jerseys and with Hamilton we have hometown hockey. We can use the shoulders as well. So we will definitely one of the things we did agree on. The mayor, city manager ourselves was that it had to be called the Brantford Bulldogs. So
I was just curious.
yeah,
Thank you so much and
I don't know if
welcome.
you like it or not. I mean, that's to be, if you don't like it, that's
Partial to the Bulldog. but.
Yeah,
Thank you
that
so much. Yeah.
that'll be the actual Bulldog logo doesn't, is trademark stays.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor.
Councillor Sluss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and welcome, folks, to all of you. It was that video shot at Civic Center?
No, I'm
Oh,
sure there'll
was
be
it?
plenty of videos
Okay.
shot after that.
Perhaps it can be next year. eh?
Perhaps, yeah.
No, that's very good. My one question I had was price point. It's always probably the same in every city, but for sure in this city, I know price point dictates a lot of what happens and what doesn't happen. And I'm just wondering, have you had the opportunity to go through your business model, your financial, and say we can sell a ticket at this much?
Certainly, I think there's, I mean, and Jeff probably can add color to it, but typically, tickets in the OHL. It's funny. I was just talking to Niagara, and I asked them, "What's your ticket price?" You know, he said, "Well, we have two ticket prices. We have the seats in the front row, lower bowl at 35, and then we have 25, and then we have others that are scattered at different price points. London is the same thing, the $35 for the lower bowl, and 25 up, and then they scattered based on groups, etc. We'll obviously endeavor to be at the market rates. I mean, one of the things we do have is we have not as many seats. We go, as I think alluded to, we go from the largest arena to the smallest, which I kind of like, to be honest with you. But that's not going to dictate our ability to go out there and just because there's so much demand to increase the prices. To me, it's got to be an affordable family entertainment initiative. And for those people who know me, to me, this is not a business making initiative. It's a passion, and it needs to be sustainable. But at the end of the day, rest assured that the prices will be in line with all other OHL teams.
I can assure you, we only have a lower bowl. eh?
Well, that was the thing. I wanted to preface it. Yeah,
I just don't want you to get any misconception that the
No,
Business
there's not
Scotia Bank Center.
There's not a
it's,
bad seat in that house, which will make it fun. Yeah.
terrific.
Yeah.
I had a pile of questions and I just froze, Mr. Mayor. Do we get two chances at this tonight, or are we following the council rules?
They're being somewhat relaxed this evening, so rest assured you can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for choosing Bradford, and welcome to it.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Councillor McCurry.
Welcome, folks, and thank you. We appreciate the faith you have in the city of Bradford. You have a pretty good relationship with minor hockey in Hamilton. Can you tell us a bit about how you're going to grow a relationship with our minor hockey league teams here?
Yeah, I'll let both Jeff and Matt answer that questions. But the funny part is I was in the concourse in our last game, and somebody approached me and said, "Oh my God, I'm so excited. I only live 10 doors away from the Civic Center." And sure enough, he had a 99ers cap on. So that made me smile. It made my day. But certainly, you know, when I look at the landscape of Hamilton Bulldog fans, they range anywhere from, you know, certainly we have a big draw from Burlington, and I'm not gonna, I don't know if it's equal draw from Brantford, but I know we've done work with my association. So I'll let either one of you elaborate.
Yeah, you can start. Contact the players. Yeah, we'll have many different activities. I think a lot stems in game. There's experiences that we offer for minor hockey to come and be a part of the OHL game. Stand on the blue line, go on the ice beforehand, meet the players, all sorts of different ways that they can connect with the OHL players. Matt will lead that side of things as far as the time that our players have in the community to give back, whether they're at practice. You know, our coaches are a valuable tool as well to educate not only the players, but coaches in the community. That'll be a big part of what we do with all the minor hockey within Brantford going forward. So it's quite in detail. We've already had some conversations with the minor hockey locally. Looking forward to just bringing what we've done in Hamilton into Brantford, and that same plan will go forward. And, you know, letting them dictate what's important to them. You know, is it ice time? Is it learning? Do they want to be in the OHL, or they just want to come out and enjoy some exciting OHL hockey? So lots of different ways we can go with it. We'll hear from them and take their feedback. But we've got a plan that we'll present that has worked in Hamilton that will likely bring you here as well.
Quite an incentive for our kids to see hockey here and see where they can play. Do you hear me okay?
Yeah, very well. Yeah.
Councillor Carpenter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can you tell I'm excited? You know, when I put this out to my constituents, the mayor and I first had a discussion back in December, there wasn't a negative remark to be found in politics. That's really hard to find. You know, there's always someone that can be negative, and there's always someone that can be positive, but I didn't get one negative response. Brantford has always been a hockey town. In fact, we were if you look at our history, at one time we were the 4th largest industrial sector in the country. You know, with Massey Ferguson, Whites and Cox. Just imagine every car company in Brantford. That was Brantford on the farm machinery implement. So we were big, and every team played each other. Every shift played each other. Everybody played hockey. And now that's all changed, of course, in Brantford. But Brantford's back on the map again. We're back on the upswing. And we're so happy that you've recognized us, and your recognition of us for your OHA team is more than that. It's putting Brantford back to where we once used to be, and a lot of, you know, us older folks remember those days and are happy to have those days back. So I have some questions. I just want to say how pleased we are to have you. And enthusiasm will grow, and we'll grow with you, hopefully. I'm sure we will. But I had a resident who today said he wants to buy his season's tickets tomorrow, is what he said to me. He'd like to buy them tomorrow, but he doesn't use the computer a lot. So is there another way that you can actually buy season's tickets that isn't online? It's one of his questions.
And I'll defer to Jeff.
That's quite all right.
And I love paper-based too, by the way, especially when you can get the players to sign them. But, anyway.
It's a fair question. I mean, we're in the digital age, and you know, we're expecting a lot of demand when we go on sale tomorrow. The initial process will be an online deposit form that you have to fill out online. We're hoping everybody has someone that can help them through that. But listen, big part of what we do is customer service. So if you're having an issue, call the offices. One of our representatives will be there, talk them through it, make sure we help everybody who wants to be part of this, be part of it. So
yeah, maybe we could set something up at the Gretzky Center where you can go in through there and maybe you do your application online there.
Yeah, we fully
or
plan.
the library, those kinds of things.
We plan to be in the market right away. So whether it's at the Gretzky Center, we'd like to have an event at the Civic Center as well to kick things off. So for sure, we'll be around.
I've already got my seats picked out where I want to sit, by the way, and it's not in the gold section. When the Alexanders were here, I didn't miss too many games, even though council was operating. So when will tickets be available? And are they going to be priced similar to what they are now in Hamilton? Because that's not a bad price for season tickets. That's actually a very good price.
Yeah, deposits will start tomorrow. And we're doing deposits. We need time to transfer the seating map. So it's going to look a little different, obviously, at the Civic Center. So it's going to be a few weeks to a month before that map is up and live and ready to start picking seats. So the first step will be to sign up, put your $100 deposit down, and then you'll get a phone call in about 4 weeks' time. Once the map is created, we'll start going down the list and calling everybody to pick their seats.
And will they be able to find that information out by going to your website now, and it'll be on there? So because Brantford residents, they're waiting with bated breath. They're watching that. We probably have the highest turnout to watch council in a long time because they're so excited. I can't overstate how excited they are. So they will see this. So they'll be able to go tomorrow and start and put their credit card down. And
yeah, starting tomorrow, Brantford Bulldogs will be a website. It'll link you to the Hamilton Bulldogs to start.
Yep.
So I go to Hamilton Bulldogs, BrantfordBulldogs.com will get you to the season ticket page, and they can fill out the deposit form there starting tomorrow.
And you're quite a charitable organization. You do a lot of tremendous charitable work in the community. My numbers got you up around $1 million in expenditure towards the community. Will that transfer to charitable communities in Brantford as well?
Certainly. I mean, yeah, we raised over $900,000 last year, which was our largest raise so far. The foundation started in 2007. Our signature program is the breakfast program, where we feed 21 inner city schools, both in the Catholic School Board and the Hamilton Public School Board. And a lot of it are proceeds from the 50/50s go back to the community. I think one of the cases, because the Ticats don't have a foundation, we're the beneficiary of a small portion of their 50/50, but a lot of it goes back to, so I think in one of the cases, Peggy, correct me if I'm wrong, and by the way, Peggy Chapman is our executive director of our foundation. She's the only administrative cost and a couple of legal bills and accounting bills, which we have to but we don't have a big administration. It's all volunteer work. It's so most of the huge percentage of it goes back to the recipients of your donation dollars. But I remember seeing the Brantford Football Association being a beneficiary last year in one of the Ticat games. So we're mindful of the fact that we will be playing it in Brantford. I certainly don't want to do anything to take away from the 21 schools that we're feeding.
No, and I wouldn't ask you to do that. I want the community to know how generous you are to the community.
But rest assured that you'll feel that you'll feel the foundation having a imprint in Brantford.
And the foundation will find that Brantford community citizens are very generous and very hardworking and very much volunteers. We've been very blessed with that.
And they'll probably guide us where the monies are most needed too.
Yeah, or they'll call you for sure.
Yeah.
So thank you for choosing Brantford. I really appreciate it, and see you at the games.
Thank you very much. Councillor Caputo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here this evening. I'm a small town boy who grew up in Sault Ste. Marie, so kind of still a loyal Greyhound fan.
Sorry about 2000. Sorry about 2018. I'm actually wearing my 2018 ring.
I was watching, and I cried. So you owe me one for that one.
By the way.
But through my working career, I got a chance to live in various cities: Guelph, Toronto, Kingston, and recently London. And every one of those cities had junior A franchises. And one of the things that I always found was how those teams brought a unity to a city. And during the campaign, and this is my first term on council, one of the things I'd asked was, or looked at, was I really wanted to bring a junior A hockey team to this city. Ironically, it's happening now, so I want to thank you. The great thing for the city of Brantford is we're getting a hockey team that are perennial winners, consistently in playoffs, consistently contending for championships. And it's not every day where a team.
Councillor Caputo, do you have a question?
No, so make a comment. You said I could talk all day here if I need to.
We'll get a chance to talk. This is question.
Anyone else have a problem right now? I just want to say that it's not every day a team who sells off a lot of assets when you're going forward for a championship like you did last year and still stay in the playoffs. So I just want to say thank you. And my question is, since I apparently have to ask one, I want you to stay longer. What's your answer to that? Thank you.
Well, that's a very good question, and I don't have the answer for that. What I do, I can assure you, and I've spoken with Mayor Davis on this, on a Saturday. I really believe, and in talking to Matt and the folks in the business side of things, I really believe that Brantford is deserving of an OHL franchise. I echoed that same sentiment to David Branch. By the way, I have to give a report tomorrow. We have OHL Board of Governor meeting, so I'll be anxious to hear about this. And the landscape has changed in 40 years. When the once most storied franchise in Hamilton, the Finn Cups became the Brantford Alexanders. It's kind of a parallel that now all of a sudden it's that the most storied franchise in OHL hockey in Hamilton is now coming to Brantford again. The economic climate is much different, and you look at the demographics, you look at the surrounding areas like Paris and the likes, and you see the vibrancy. Now, obviously, I would never be able to even come to the shadow of being in the footsteps of Walter Gretzky, but obviously he had a big impact in hockey in this community. And his son played pretty well too. But my point being is that this city is much different than it was 40 years ago, and I really believe that OHL belongs in Brantford. And I think you have teamed up with the right team, the right ownership, the right passion that will bring not only winning hockey, but keep it sustainable for years to come. And while I can't tell you what happens, the reality is that I will do everything in my power to make sure that if it's not this franchise, that an OHL team is here. Having said that, you know, I fall in love with the communities that I belong to, and you'll get 110% from me to making sure that we're viable. And then who knows? I think the term sheet talks about it as a little paragraph about perhaps a new facility, but that's not today. But hopefully we get to that crossroad, and then your answer will. And then you'll have your answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Sullivan.
Thank you, Mayor Davis. Welcome. Happy to have you here. Born and raised in Hamilton before coming out here to Brantford. Back when the Steelhawks were there, back watching the Hamilton Bulldogs of the AHL win. Had my questions when the OHL came, concerned whether or not they were going to be able to be successful. Obviously, very successful. And I'm just wondering how you're going to correlate that into bringing that success to Brantford.
Successful on the ice or off the ice?
Both.
Okay, for both. So I think it's you know, when we went through this exercise, first of all, it was a bit of a shock to my system, and you guys have read to the in the media when what was first supposed to be a transition, you know, renovation over a period of a couple of years, and ended up being well, you're evicted while we make those repairs, and which, by the way, you know, my understanding is that the city and that group still haven't a signed agreement. So but you know, when I bought the Belleville Bulls, interestingly enough, as you probably know, my passion is hockey. My wife is a golf widow, is a hockey widow, I should say. And I'm part owner of the Montreal Canadiens, and on the board of governors. And I guess 6 years ago, Wayne Gretzky was the alternate governor for the Edmonton Oilers, and we were in at a board of governor meeting in Florida, and he said to me, Mike, you're not going to make it in Hamilton. Junior hockey's never made it. It's never lasted. And, you know, move it to Brantford. I'll help you move it to Brantford if you want, you know, and I shrugged him off and suggested that, you know, I like being the underdog, and proving people wrong. And you're right. The Steelhawks didn't last. I think they ended up in Guelph, is it? Or Niagara Falls. But the Bulldogs would still be there in Hamilton if this hadn't happened. It wasn't my doing. In the other cases, it was the ownership's doing. So I'm committed to like I said, to Councillor Caputo. I'm definitely committed to make this a winning, and I love to win, by the way. I play to win, and to make this just as much a success in Brantford as it is to. And by the way, one of our rising star is a local Brantford boy.
Our first round draft pick last year was Merrick Van Acker.
Merrick Van Acker. So he's we're looking forward
Drafted
to
out of Brantford.
I think next we have Councillor Hunt.
Thank you. Thank you. And a very, very warm welcome to Brantford, to you. Thank you so much for, I'm going to echo Councillor Carpenter. There's just been a lot of buzz and enthusiasm at the thought that you're bringing your team to Brantford. Couple of questions. I'm looking at the term sheet, specifically 4C, the fixturing period, which talks about unobstructed access to the Civic Center beginning February 15th of this year. I'm wondering, and maybe this is not a question for you, maybe this is a question for our city staff, about events that are planned at the Civic Center after the 15th of February, if they are going to be allowed to hold their events, and as I said, this may be a question to city staff.
No, it's an excellent question, Councillor Hunt, and staff are making a very short presentation. And once a motion's on the floor, and so that's probably the really good question for staff and operational staff. And we do have Sonny Smith, who is the manager of the facility. I'm sure he'd be able to answer that question. Okay.
And then my other question, so for, you can't tell, I'm sitting in a power wheelchair. First Ontario Centre has a number of accessible seats. And I'm wondering if the accessible seating complement at the Civic Center is intended to match those number of accessible seats.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Brian Hutchings, CEO. That's again, when we go to, when we present, staff present, when the report's put on the table, we'll present that, and that'll be a question. It's part of the renovations plan. It's discussed as part of the quote to make sure it's accessible. So that'll be there as well. But you can ask that question specifically of Sonny Smith when we come up when staff present.
Okay. All right. Thanks so much. And again, welcome and thank you. Thank you so much for bringing passion for hockey, specifically back to Brantford.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have one question, and that is, how are you going to ration the season's tickets when the response is overwhelming?
Well, I guess that's a good question. Season tickets, I think we'll have to cap because we want to make sure that we have one of the great successful things from a community standpoint is having a school day game, for example. So I don't know how, Jeff, those are all very important questions, but we'll probably cap them. And I don't know if it's 2,000, whatever, but we want to have people going in and, in and out. We don't want to just have 3,000 season tickets sold and jobs done. And we want to have that civic pride that extends it. We'll do it. We'll do it the right way. And if we don't, we'll hear about it. So I would say that's a nice problem to have. Yeah. I think one of the questions that was raised was, what happens if it's Hamilton? What happens if the folks in the mountain decide to get season tickets? Do they get, first dibs? And obviously we're going to be very conscientious on making sure that it's mostly Brantford from a priority standpoint.
So, yes, Councillor Sluss.
I had to write it down. I forgot the other question I wanted to ask, and that was your timeline for renovation. It's very, very aggressive.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. You need 3 hands, actually. Yeah. But I'm just wondering, is there a contingency? Like, can you get it playable before it's done? If you know what I mean? Like, can you be partially done and still open a season?
Yeah, we're going to have to talk about contingencies. The one thing, and that's what, as a Councillor Hunt, is that asked the question, the first question, with the clause, I think it's 4C and it was with respect, and that's this has to be a collaborative effort by all. We don't want all of a sudden, a city permit to hold everything up, and now all of a sudden we're not, we don't have a dressing room, for example. But certainly the safety of our players is important. I did, one of the things I noticed is the tempered glass, which is, it can be dangerous in today's age with you hear
it's a tough city.
Yeah, but our players are maybe not as tough, but no, it's one of those things. I'm going to look for safety first.
Yeah.
Certainly, the right, so we can go and play games. We may have to start off, having all our practices where we have it today, which is on the mountain at the Firestone Arena. And then coming in for games initially. We'll look at what our priorities are. We've talked to the folks with the video scoreboard. They say they can get this done in ample time. The boards as well. So we'll look at what's priority, and I hope that a local contractor is going to be just as passionate and want to get this thing done in time. But we've asked the league also to schedule the games, our first home games, 2 weeks into the season, just to give us a bit of that.
Okay. So you'll be on the road for the first.
That's right. For the first couple of weeks of our schedule. So we're trying to be pragmatic about it. But you're right. I've got, we're going to do this hopefully together, right? And getting this done right.
Would it be a problem if there was a clause in there that you had to sign Connor Bedard before the season started?
Well, he's going to get drafted this year, and he's going to be probably not playing junior hockey. If the way he is,
Okay.
And in any event, he's a part of the WHL, so it'd be pretty tough to get him.
Okay, thank you.
It's fun to watch for sure.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We're going to be dealing with this matter immediately. So I'd ask if you can resume your seats in the public seating area, and we'll put the resolution on the floor. So moving to items for consideration, and I believe Councillor Van Tilborg, you have the resolution that you'd like to put on the floor.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Carpenter. That report 2023-58 titled Term Sheet for OHL Team Agreement for Brantford Civic Center be received. That the term sheet included in report 2023-58 be at Appendix A be approved, and the Chief Administrative Officer be directed to execute the term sheet and any amendments thereto that are in keeping with the general understanding set out therein. C, that staff be directed to negotiate a facility lease license agreement with the Bulldogs regarding its use of the Brantford Civic Center commencing in 2023 for a 3-year term with an additional 3 one-year renewals as set out in the term sheet. And D, that staff be directed to engage and retain professional services including external sport facility and public relations consultants and legal services for the purpose of negotiating with the Bulldogs regarding the contemplated facility lease license agreement, and to fund these costs estimated to be $105,000 from the Casino Legacy Reserve Fund, RF 055, and that the subject that the subject to the successful negotiation of a facility lease license agreement with the Hamilton Bulldogs, the city clerk be directed to place the facility lease license agreement on the signing bylaw for execution by the mayor and clerk, and F, that subject to the execution of a facility lease license agreement with the Hamilton Bulldogs and the following capital requirements be funded from the Casino Legacy Reserve RF 055, and 1, installation of a heating, ventilation, air conditioned system at the Brantford Civic Center, $1,625,000, and 2, leasehold improvements allowances at $3 million. Well, that's the deal.
Right.
And it sounds really boring when you read it like that. Do you know what's not boring is the enthusiasm and the response that I've seen from the city of Brantford. What an opportunity. You've been renovated out of your facilities, and we're renovating you into our facilities, and we're so happy to do that. I've never had such a response at any time in my life, quite frankly. Positive. Not negative. When they say, and a lot of these are just like things that get said out there, you don't know how they're true, win-win and community bonding and all that stuff. It's usually sounded like a reason for somebody to sell the concept of a sports team. Well, let me tell you something. This city is coming together. This city is welcoming you. Does it bring people together? My gosh, it has brought this council together, and that in itself is quite a feat. So I've never been to an OHL game. People that are contacting me, never been to an OHL game. They're asking about, how do I get tickets? They've never been. They got their young families. It's a lot different than me. I won't be buying season tickets, but I'll be going to a game. But I'll tell you what, to provide the opportunity for a young family to buy a ticket, come out for a night, see the games, that's the best thing that I could see happen. To see our old Civic Center put together by labor, getting reused again, getting a second lease on life. I mean, literally, we didn't know the future of that building. So your unfortunate timing is our incredible benefit. People were sending me messages, and if you know me, it's like this, Brian, don't screw this up. Make sure we get the deal. Make sure it's good. Make sure these are in it. You know what's all there. Staff have been working on it. So I just want to say when I heard the presenters, they weren't full of bluster. They weren't full of the sizzle. I mean, all I thought is, I don't think these people talk to an audience. They talk hockey amongst themselves and put on a great team on the ice. And that's what I see. I'm not very good with my hands and putting a button on, but here's the button. And I think every counselor's got it on right now. So I think we know which way this is going to go. And thank you for this opportunity. The community thanks you.
Thank you, Councillor Van Tilburg, for a great lead off into the discussion. With council's indulgence, I'm going to ask staff to come up. They do a very, very short presentation. I think we'll answer some of the questions that people have. And we have Mr. CAO, if you could just describe to us what we're going to see in the next few minutes. I understand you have a very tight presentation to make.
That's a little cue, a very tight presentation. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Brian Hutchings, CEO. And I have with us our consultant, Ron Baduco. He'll introduce himself and his companies very shortly. Also to my right and to your left is our manager of arena operations, Sonny Smith. And to his right is our Director of Economic Development, Tourism and Culture, Sarah Monroe. So what's going to happen is, as Ron is our representative and who's very involved in the negotiations with us, is going to give us a very quick summary of the term sheets and answer some questions. And very quick summary of the term sheet. Sonny will talk very quickly about some of the upgrades to the Civic Center. They're extending the life of the Civic Center, and Sarah will talk as well. Very short presentation, very, very short on economic developments to the city. So, but Ron is the main feature and with the main things with the term sheet. So I'll pass it over to Ron.
Mr. Hutchings, your worship, members of council, pleasure to be here this evening. My name is Ron Badalka. I'm managing partner of KKR Advisors. We are a tactical advisory firm providing financial development and negotiation advisory services to sports and entertainment facilities across North America. For the past 25 years, I've been involved in over $7 billion of new sport infrastructure development in Canada and in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. I have direct experience negotiating facility lease license agreements, including facilities like the Avenir Center in Moncton, New Brunswick, in Oshawa, in Sudbury, in Thunder Bay. I also have experience negotiating venue management contracts in St. John, New Brunswick, in Guelph, in London, in Fort McMurray, Alberta. Also have a sense of experience negotiating venue concession arrangements, including at the Olympic Stadium in Montreal, and in securing building sponsorship arrangements, including at the Videotron Center in Quebec City.
Sault Ste. Marie, you got to say for council.
Oh, yes. And for Councillor Caputo, so the facilities, the centers that you've lived in, Sudbury, Guelph, and London, I was intimately involved in the development of those new facilities. Quite all right. So as we look at the term sheet provisions in here and understanding that a term sheet is not a legal agreement. It is an arrangement that it defines and formalizes the arrangement between the Bulldogs and the city of Brantford to allow the team to play their games in the Civic Center. The term sheet contains 15 provisions. Those provisions are the principal deal terms. They deal with the length of the agreement, the use and the priority access of the Bulldogs into the facility for Fridays and Saturdays on a priority basis, Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday, secondary basis. It allows them use of the box office to sell tickets, allows them to rent the space, the office space in behind the box office for their offices. It contemplates how rent is going to be paid. It contemplates with respect to complimentary tickets that they're able to provide. It defines what game day staffing obligations are for the city and what it will pay for and what game day staffing obligations the team will pay for. It describes and defines how revenue from advertising, sponsorships, and concessions are shared between the parties. It talks of, as one councillor mentioned earlier, how the Bulldogs themselves, through their foundation, will be supporting and giving feedback and community support in the Brantford community. It speaks to how the city will support and provide marketing to the team to support its season tickets drive, its game tickets sales, its upcoming games. And it also describes the city's commitment to think about and to study, not an obligation to build, but a commitment to think about and study a new sports and entertainment in the facility in the community. And then finally, I glossed over this, but it also talks most importantly about the leasehold improvements. And to answer Councillor Hunt's earlier question, item 4C, the fixturing period, does include the sentence that says, notwithstanding the foregoing, such access and work by the OHL team shall not unreasonably interfere with prior schedule usage of the BCC. So as we look at the terms and conditions that are specifically within there and my comments on them, I want to first go back to how these deals are normally structured. Normally, a city builds a brand new building, and the team then enters into a lease and it pays rent, and the city gets exclusive right to some revenue streams. They share other revenue streams, and then some revenue streams that are generated by the team are also shared with the building. Those are for brand new buildings. Now, when we look at older buildings and think about North Bay, when the Brampton Battalion relocated up to North Bay, that building needed $8 to $10 million of improvements. Those improvements were financed exclusively by the city. And there was a big cost overrun associated with that. The team entered into a lease, but because of the age, the seating capacity, the functional obsolescence, the revenue generating ability of that arena, its rent was nowhere near what you would normally expect from a brand new building. And the example I'm going to give you for that is this. If you were to rent, and assume I had one, a brand new Tesla, top of the line market with all the bells and whistles, you'd pay rent because you're getting access to all those bells and whistles. You'd pay a big number. But if you were going to rent my 1967 Chevy Impala, you'd pay a lot lower number because it doesn't have those bells and whistles. Now, my 67 Impala needs a front end alignment, an engine overhaul, and a new exhaust system. I'm going to pay for that. You're not going to pay me any more than if you're going to expect that you're just going to pay the same amount as if all those things were done. However, if you were to rent my 67 Impala and you had to pay for the front end alignment and the engine overhaul and the new exhaust system, and you're paying for that, you're going to pay me a heck of a lot less in rent. That's this deal. So in this deal, the Bulldogs are investing their capital into this building to fix it up, to make it compatible to play OHL hockey. At the end of this lease, whether it's 3 years or 6 years, all of those improvements revert back to the city at no cost. So minor hockey can go in there in 6 years and a day and play up and look at the center ice at the jumbo scoreboard that's in there and see their images on that video screen. They get access to the new concessions that are in there. They get access to the better washrooms and the new dressing rooms and the sound system and the lightings and the boards and everything else that's associated with it. Finally, If the team doesn't agree to extend the lease beyond 3 years or 4 years or 5 years or into the 6th year, or another OHL team doesn't come in and play into the building, your $3 million capital improvement allowance is repayable. I look at that, and I look at that in comparison to a whole bunch of other buildings that are in existence, and I know some of those leases. That is a beneficial arrangement that does not exist with any other arena in Canada. That is, I think, one of the very positive elements to this. Then when we look at some of the other elements of this, so as I said, we got to understand the age, the condition, the revenue generating capacity of this building, its functional capacity, and in fact, obsolescence. Like, we don't have suites, and we don't have, advertising stuff that's done around that's got video ability to it. The team is still going to pay rent. They're going to pay $1 a ticket. That $1 a ticket per city staff, looking at what that means, is more than enough to cover the costs that the city would incur to put the games on. In addition to that, $4,500 a year in rent and upwards of $80,000 from parking. So as I look at all of this, I think, A, this is a great deal for the city. And B, most importantly, I think it's reasonable for both the city and the Bulldogs. And when I talk of beneficial arrangements, that's where you want a negotiation to end up. I think the team is happy because they signed this term sheet, and I think the city should be happy.
Sonny? Thanks, Brian. Mayor Davis, members of council, Sonny Smith, manager of arena operations. Ron did touch on a lot of the stuff that I am going to talk about, so I'll just try to highlight it. The Bulldogs are coming to Brantford, was and is contingent on the Civic Center receiving substantial upgrades to meet the fan, player, and OHL standards. Total estimated cost of those upgrades is approximately $7.5 million. December 2022, the Bulldogs identified the Civic Center's current locker rooms, their training room, community hall, scoreboard, player benches, and glass partitions, among other things, as being substandard to the OHL standards. That's Appendix E. The list of the leasehold improvements we have is a dedicated dressing / locker room for the team, renovations to the auditorium for purposes of a Bulldog club and exercise space, renovation of 2 existing dressing rooms to make a medical / trainer space, and replacing the dashboard glass and Zamboni gate. Be relocating the players' benches in the penalty box to the opposite sides, and we'd have to close off and relocate some stairwell openings from the seats. We definitely need a new video scoreboard. I think the one that's there is original, if not too long after. Modifying the broadcasting gondolas for video replay and scoreboard controls. Upgrading the concession areas. This is huge so that we can service that full house when they're hungry. Upgrading the washrooms, upgrading the lighting, the sound system, and the Wi-Fi. That's what we need to do to get the Bulldogs to come. The other thing that we need is that installation of that HVAC system. That's not part of the deal with the Bulldogs. That's part of the deal with ourselves. It's going to enhance the fan experience for the Bulldogs, obviously. It's going to be a more efficient system than what we're using now, the electric radiant heat. And it'll make the Brantford Civic Center a year-round functional facility so we can draw other events and clients to the building. Sarah?
Thank you, Mayor Davis and members of council. I'm Sarah Monroe, Director of Economic Development, Tourism and Cultural Initiatives. And as the Tournament Capital of Ontario, our department is very well versed in estimating the economic impact of sport tourism. For this particular EI assessment included in your agenda package, we started with a report that was commissioned by the CHL in 2020 that looked at the economic impact of 60 clubs in the league. Rather than take this report as face value on its own, we also collected information from the specific clubs that we felt better aligned as comparators with the city of Brantford. So those included Hamilton, Burlington, Guelph, Niagara, Kitchener, and Peterborough. We also looked at a previous EI assessment of the Mississauga Steelheads. Using this base information, along with the estimate of 89% capacity based on the current Bulldogs fan base, along with the size of the Civic Center, we calculated averages and benchmarks to best estimate the EI of the Brantford Bulldogs. At a high level, staff estimates a direct economic impact of $4.3 million per year. This includes overnights from players and spectators at accommodation partners, food and beverage at both the Civic Center and local dining partners, and other expected spin-offs, such as spending at the adjacent Elements Casino. And it's important to note that any spending at this casino from Bulldogs fans also impacts the revenues that the city of Brantford will see. Although we could have done a traditional monetary-based EI assessment, it's good business practice to also look at the dollars. It's good business practice to look beyond the dollars and cents exchanged and keep in mind how this investment could impact the sentiment of the city of Brantford. Although the social impacts of having a local OHL team aren't as measurable, they can be assumed in this case. So this includes the city's image as a sport-friendly and open for business community on a national and international scale, activating our downtown core to bring new energy, enthusiasm, and foot traffic that we need. The Bulldogs' investment in the community that's been referenced earlier through their own social and charitable programming that will be Brantford specific, increasing youth enthusiasm and inspiring the next generation of athletes through enrollment in local sport organizations. And last but not least, really the overall enhancement of community pride.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're open for any questions council may have.
All right, well, we're going to proceed then. Everybody has 2 4-minute speaking opportunities. Councilor Van Tilburg's had one of his. And so you can certainly ask questions as staff or the delegates as part of your 2 4-minute speaking opportunities. So we'll proceed. I have on the list, one question I'll ask for Sunny. Councillor Hutt did raise a question of accessibility issues for those that have accessibility challenges. What will be worked into the renovations in that regard?
Thank you, Mayor Davis, through the chair. We are not changing the current footprint of the seating. The bowl itself is already has 8 designated seats for wheelchair and their companion throughout the bowl. The front entrance is accessible and there is an accessible washroom. Any other renovations that will happen, obviously, we will ensure that they're up to the standards of the AODA.
Okay, so I have Councillor Sikoli.
Oh, I get to kick this off. All right. Looks like our hockey town is finally going to get our hockey team that we can all rally behind. And I can't even lie, as a Hamilton born girl, this is just a little extra special win for me. So I am ready with open arms and willing to accept and welcome the Brantford / Hamilton Bulldogs into our community. And I truly, truly, truly hope that this extends much longer than just 3 years. I'm very excited. And beyond the camaraderie, as Sarah touched on, the economic spinoff and the impact that's going to be huge for all of our wonderful local businesses downtown to benefit from this. And just a little shout out and a thank you to, I know how much work went into this. So Mayor Davis and CEO Hutchings and Sunny and Sarah, I know you guys worked very, very hard to bring this forward to us. And I'm very excited and thank you to the Hamilton Bulldog franchise for choosing us and putting your faith into our community. I know we are all very, very excited. And I, for one, am extra excited to get those tickets on sale tomorrow. Great. I will be supporting that. In case it wasn't clear, I'll be supporting this resolution. Thank you.
Thanks for clearing up that confusion, Councillor. Councillor Sluss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of questions to staff. Is there a timeline or a deadline for reaching a successful negotiation for a lease?
Ron can jump in about, I'll start and he'll finish. I think, it's basically we're looking at the next 3 to 5 weeks to have this finished, at the most 5 weeks. This deal, we've already, our legal department's already cleared Ron has recommended some firms that have experience in this area. Our legal department has already cleared that conflict. We're ready to start tomorrow, the discussions and papering this. We have the term sheet done, but this will now be the details of the paper.
Yeah, correct. It'll take 3 to 5 weeks to formalize the full agreement. The term sheet contemplates that and allows the Bulldogs access into the building so they can get their people in to start looking at what and how all the leasehold improvements are going to go.
So the period of negotiation does not affect the period of construction. Is that okay? I didn't understand license. Is it going to be a licensed facility while the game is on?
As in, you're talking lease / license or drinking?
Drinking.
Yes, they will be like the facility will be licensed.
Will the stands be licensed or will the auditorium be licensed? Or will they both be licensed? Both. So will there be non-designated areas where you can't drink? Call it family sections?
It's a good question. I don't know if we contemplated that. We're just looking at the full licensing of the concessions as well as the auditorium. The auditorium will be treated for VIPs for the discretion of the Bulldogs because there is no box. But we haven't had that discussion about the family area of Councillor Schlessen, and that's why we have council give us this insight. But we haven't had that discussion yet. But we definitely could make that available.
I think in the past there were sections when we had regular teams playing. There were sections that you could drink in, sections you couldn't drink in, and so on, which probably is a policing nightmare. But anyway, that's how it was done in the past. I didn't hear any mention of a visitor's dressing room.
So there is a current. Do you want to go there, Sonny? Okay, I'm doing all right. Yeah, okay, there is a dressing room now on the north side of the facility closest to the casino. We went through with the Bulldogs. It'd probably be one of the nicest visiting team dressing rooms in the province. So they'll be using that dressing room right now. The Brantford Blast Bandits are using it at the moment and are using that facility. But in the future, that would be the visiting team dressing room the night of the game.
Okay. Okay. I think that's it. Thank you.
Councillor McCreary.
Mayor, thank you. Folks, we're going to have 2 separate reno projects underway here. Do I understand that correctly?
Through the chair to Councillor McCreary. Yes, that's correct.
Who is the lead on the construction?
That would be the Bulldogs.
Okay. On the HVAC as well?
The HVAC is the city's.
Okay. Who from City of Brantford is going to be the lead on this project?
That'll be somebody in capital.
So that'll be through the capital group through Jennifer Elliott's. The Bulldogs will obviously hit the ground running right away. As we said, the term sheet contemplates February 15th next week. But we will be ordering the HVAC units, going through procurements and ordering the HVAC unit, which I believe takes almost 10 months to get in and installed. So the Bulldogs will have much further head start with us. We'll be contemplating that as part of their renovations. And that will be as project manager assigned through Jennifer Elliott's team and capital projects who do this on a regular basis.
Does the HVAC installation have any bearing on anything the Bulldogs are doing with respect to the items on the term sheet?
No, just their own area, which they'll be paying the separate utility for in the term sheet. But no, it shouldn't have any effect on the bigger. It's the main area. And I'll be honest with you, since the Bulldogs have been talking to us, it's made lots of headlines. We've had other teams, such as basketball teams, have been calling my office to look at coming here in the summer to put basketball in the summer, and other events have been calling already, knowing that we're now a city that's ready to host major sports teams.
Perhaps we'll have a summer league where we can watch a Brantford team.
That's what
Six Nations.
That's what we're hoping for, is lacrosse, more advanced lacrosse, higher level, as well as basketball and what have you in the summer. Because right now, I know last May, I went to a boxing match there. It was a hot May night and was very uncomfortable. So hopefully this will make it better for local boxing and local events and, various other things that might come to town, like anyways, other events and other sports.
The HVAC system is going to be roof mounted.
Through the chair to Councillor McCreary. That will be determined through the assessment of the tender. It can either be roof mounted or can be ground mounted.
When was the last time we did a roof assessment on the building?
I'd have to find that out.
Please do. Thank you.
Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Sunny. When the Gretzky was rebuilt, one of the things they did with the HVAC is they utilized waste heat from the ice making equipment towards heating in the stands. Are we going to be looking at efficiencies along that route for the Civic Center?
Through the chair to Councillor Martin. The waste heat needs to be incorporated at the time of the refrigeration plant. And this system isn't equipped with that capacity.
Okay, so there's not going to be any connection between the two at all?
No, there wouldn't be.
Oh, that's too bad. Hopefully you find an efficient system.
It'll be more efficient than what we're currently using.
Yeah, I was surprised to find out that there was an HVAC in the arena to start with. That was surprising to me. Well, I look forward to the Brantford Bulldogs playing in there next season.
Councillor, it was surprising me in May at the boxing match when I went to go ask staff to turn the fans and the air conditioning on, and they laughed at me that it doesn't have it. So I learned in May. And
Councillor Simon.
Thank you. So Brantford has always at its heart been a hockey town, and I'm thrilled to be supporting this tonight. It's going to mean so much to our community to have the Bulldogs come and for the improvements to happen to the well-loved Civic Center. And I really do believe, as Councillor Caputo said earlier, that it'll bring the community together. And I myself live walking distance from the Civic Center, so I look forward to seeing you guys play. Thank you.
Councillor Caputo.
Thank you, Mayor. What's the seating capacity of the Civic Center?
So seating capacity is 2951 seating and 417 total 3317. So the Delta is standing, 400 seats standing and 2952 seating.
Okay. Just curious. Thanks.
Any other discussion? Yes. Councillor Slutz for the second time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My fault. I missed this one on the first time around. I saw some uncomfortable looks behind you folks when you mentioned revenue from parking. Can you elaborate a bit on that, please? Is that something that's been discussed, or is this something that we're finding out?
So the facility itself outside the Civics, I should have eyes in the back of my head. Peggy Chapman's actor. I'm not too sure. But anyway, no, there will be no, the Bulldogs during our discussions will be, the nights of the games will be in charge of the parking around the facility. So they don't plan on charging for parking around the facility, like the parking lot at the Civic Center. Obviously, there may be spillover and there may be some parking revenues that go to the parkade. That's to be decided by staff. We'll have to bring forth a fees and charges, change our fees and charges bylaws. If we want to charge for parking, that'll be a council decision. We bring that forth.
So under the current proposal and structure, there is no cost to park your vehicle to go to a game on the Civic Center property.
Exactly.
Okay.
Staff are considering charging for parking at the parkade, night games like event parking. But again, that would have to be proven our parking and fees and charges, and council can say they don't want to see that. So that's at that time.
Right. Well, yeah, we're probably getting into the weeds here, but I think you'd have the casino angry and you'd have the plaza across the street angry if you are charging and the spill is going to go onto their lots for free anyway. So you're probably going to create some problems with our neighbors.
That's correct. So that's why we're not charging at the Civic Center. There is one place at the back of the Civic Center on the northwest corner, which is we do charge out to the casino. They use that for their parking. They pay us for that. So that'll have to be reserved for them. But all the other parking at the Civic Center would be free.
Do we know how many parking spaces we have there, Brian?
Through the chair to Councillor Sless, there's approximately 400 parking spaces at the Civic Center.
Okay, then there will be, so spillover, won't there? Okay, thank you.
Councillor Carpenter.
Thank you. Brian, thank you for your hard work on this and staff that you brought together to make this happen, all the staff that were involved. Short notice, a lot on your plate, I know that, and you did a terrific job going to the right people, obviously, to get the job done. First of all, I want to extend my appreciation to you and the staff that were all involved. I know it was a team effort. Just really appreciate it to all the team. I see Rick back there as well. So just thank you for that. You're leaving pretty soon. Will we have this negotiations done in time with you still here at the helm? I know it's maybe an unfair question.
3 to 5 weeks. Actually, the mayor and I talked about this afternoon, and the short answer is it looks like very positive. We'll have this done working with Ron in the next 3 weeks, 3 to 5 weeks. I'll be done in 4 weeks. So, it looks very possible to be done. And it's very, very similar to the Grand Bridge deal, where, we have the spirit and principle done, but the details I worked on with a legal firm and with some assistance as well. So yes, I think very positive we can, and I think the Bulldogs, if look at their time frame and the way Mr. Anlauer is, I think we'll have a deal in the next 3 to 4 weeks. Yes.
Sorry to see you go, Brian. I know why you would be going, but why you've made those choices. But sorry to see you go. Thank you again for the team. The teamwork that you put together and for the teamwork you put together at the city. Secondly, the glass has to be removed as part of the deal. Is there an opportunity for to move that glass, for example, to Lions Park or another facility where it can be used to put as new glass there?
I'll pass it over to Sonny, who knows the details of that.
Through the chair to Councillor Carpenter. No, that glass has served its useful life. It's not really transferable to other arenas and other board systems. The other thing is that it is a much more than we would require at Lions Park or the Gretzky Center. It's very, very high, very thick tempered glass.
So it's high, but so it's not usable anywhere else. It's going to be basically disposed of.
No, in the my history, we've attempted to resell the used glass, and it ends up sitting in a parking lot and getting smashed and not getting and just going to waste anyway. So it just in the process, it's just best practice now to recycle it immediately.
Recycle it to glass manufacturers.
Yes.
Okay, so it won't be reused anywhere, just be broken down and reused at that time.
No, that's correct.
Okay, and the seating is relatively new in the Civic Center, is it not?
Yes.
And we've cleaned out anything, any concerns with hazardous materials have already been cleaned out in the Civic Center. I remember that passing that at council from quite a few years back, actually. And the ice itself, the ice machine is relatively new too, is it not?
Through the chair to Councillor Carpenter, all those statements are correct.
So it's all relatively new now. So that's all fine. That money's good to go.
That's correct.
Okay. And is there any work we have to do to the parking lot itself? I mean, I noticed some potholes and some trees missing in the boulevards, and the boulevards look pretty rough. Is there anything that we need to do there to clean that up to make that the standard that meets what would be an OHA team?
Well, I don't think the OHL mandates anything for parking standards, but the parking lot is in need of repair, and there was a consultant assessment of the parking lot done last year, and that's in the hands of Public Works, and it is on the radar already for the corporation.
I would suggest we consider moving that forward, and we go back to the time when we actually had that area as a beautification area. We had the proper plantings, and it's all part of the community spirit that will come from this. Is what I'm really happy about, because then we went through the last 4 years, we need an uplift in the community, and the community will be very proud if we can make sure that there's no reason for anybody, to be tripping over a hole or on the way in to see the Bulldogs. They should be proud of the facility and proud of the team, and I'm sure that we can make all that happen. So if you want to bring that forward, I'd be happy to support it and get it moving. Brian?
I can talk to the GM of Public Works, and we can figure out how we bring that forward and for council's consideration. I know he's behind me, and fully supportive of this project. So we'll have a discussion offline.
Sure.
Again, I can't see him. Councilman McCreary's looking at him, but I'm not sure what he's doing behind my back. So
He's got a thumb up.
You want to suggestion?
He's got a thumb up. Yeah, it's a thumb up, by the way, Brian. So- Again, Brian and staff, well done, well done.
Councilor McCurry.
I'll echo what Councillor Carpenter said with respect to the hard work put into this by our staff. You folks have really done some stellar work here. And I had early discussions with the mayor about the prospects of a major junior hockey club here. And we'd had some tire kickers in the past that came through here. And I was involved with some of those negotiations, but it became apparent pretty quickly that what we're dealing with here is a professional organization led by some pretty stellar folks that were dead serious about coming here. And as Councillor Van Tilburg said earlier, it's if you can unite 11 of us, you can do anything. So I think you consider the benefits to this community as well as the hockey club. You bring some economic benefits to us, of course. The thing I like best is the influence you're going to have on our young hockey players here. They're going to see where they can be in a couple of years' time playing in Brantford, hopefully for the hometown team, and perhaps then a shot at the bigs later on. You folks aren't from here. We are from here. And for us, this is a big ego boost. This is important to our community. Community where a lot of folks have had some downtimes, going way back in history. And we've had some sporting successes here, and we look forward to having you folks here to produce some more winners for us and to produce the community feel that's so important here. So let me reiterate a welcome to you. And to those of you in the community, your council, your staff here at City Hall, your Brantford Bulldogs have done the work to get this team here. We on council and staff and the Bulldogs are going to continue to do things to make this hockey team a success here in the city of Brantford. But it's also up to you folks in the community to get out and support this team, to buy tickets to come to the Civic Center, to maybe have a bit of a nosh while you're there, perhaps a beverage. It's up to the community to make sure that we create such a great case for these people to stay here that they will not want to leave. And down the road a piece, maybe we're looking at a new building. And I'm pleased to see that that was incorporated in what we had before us with respect to the term sheet. That's something that's going to require significant investment, significant time. And perhaps the mayor can take the lead on that project as well. And I want to highlight the mayor's involvement in this. And the mayor and I've had a number of discussions about his personal involvement in some key issues. And the mayor has been stalwart on this issue, has taken a great personal interest, and with Brian and senior staff has led this initiative. And I can't speak highly enough about what happens when our mayor gets involved and takes a personal interest in advancing an issue that's important to the city of Brantford. So Kevin, a special thanks to you.
Yes, not seeing any other speakers, so I'll do the wrap, if you don't mind. Oh, sorry, Councilor Carpenter, do you want to?
This is our 2 4-minute opportunities then right now.
Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay. Good. I'd like to recognize, I think Councilor Van Tilburg mentioned it earlier. He talked about how the Civic Center came to be. The Civic Center came to be, I believe it was Max Sherman that was mayor at the time. I believe that. And the local labor council and everybody and all the unions and labor and the community all gave $1, I believe $1 off their salary weekly towards building the Civic Center. And we did have recognition of those 2 individuals that led the community. And last time I was in the Civic Center, those portraits have been taken down, those plaques have been taken down. Hopefully we could put those recognitions back up. It's not uncommon to see recognition of those that made the contributions to what we have in our community. And for some reason that came down probably when we were doing some of the renovations over there. I'd like to have those put back, please. It's important to the community, how we got here. We have to remember where we came from. And if we're going to remember how to go forward and how positive we can be in this community. I will be getting my tickets tomorrow, by the way, because I know I can into the community. You can get them. I also want to raise one other thing. this is great that the OHA is coming here and that we are a sports town. We've been sort of lagging in some areas, like the Brantford Red Sox, for example, baseball. We've had them for over 100 years, and they're struggling. They're struggling because the team needs maybe some management in the area of raising funds and raising advertising dollars to make them successful. So I think with the OHA team coming here and Brantford getting excited about that, I could see that spilling over to the other teams, such as the Brantford Red Sox, for example, our beloved baseball team. And I just would hate to see us lose any of this. So we're going to all have to all the community out there, we have to get involved. If you want to keep it, you gotta get involved. You got to support it. And I think we're at that stage where we can. Brantford's growing. Brant County is growing. I just say to the delegation here, Brant County, I say this to a lot of people, Brant County is the second largest city in all of Ontario, second only to Sudbury in geographical space, landmass. You probably don't know that, but it's also the last city in the Greater Toronto Hamilton region, part of the place to grow legislation. So everybody wants to be here and everybody will be here. So if you're looking for a place to invest, buy land in the county, of course, for your grandchildren. But the future is here. And as Walter Gretzky used to say, Brantford is the center of the universe, and it is a place. This community loved Walter Gretzky maybe more than Wayne Gretzky, as the hockey dad, our hero hockey dad. I remember when I brought up the resolution of council to name the BSCR Wayne Gretzky Parkway, there was a lot of backlash, a little backlash, actually, not very much, and it passed pretty quickly. But at that time, Wayne Gretzky was getting something like $60 million for having his name on the Campbell soup.
Councilor Carpenter, can we stay on track?
And so it was well worth doing. So we just want to say, I don't think I've used my 4 minutes up, but okay. Anyways, thanks for coming. We'll be there. That's why I run my clock.
All right. So not seeing any other raised hands. So I'll wrap it. So, it's been a very eventful week for me personally, very exciting to see and hear such an overwhelmingly positive reaction from our community to this news about this proposed hockey partnership. And, many people, even those who don't closely follow hockey, I see them beaming, not only with just enthusiasm, but community pride. Because it's clear that there's few things that bring us together like sports. And I think this is just the beginning of how the Brantford Bulldogs will contribute to a strong sense of community, confidence, and pride in our city. And, OHL hockey is considered to be some of the most exciting play in the hockey world. You get to see these young players on the way up, and they're anxious and eager to put on their best for those hockey scouts that are present. The OHL is the last stop for the best of the best on their way to the top. And I think we should all feel very privileged that we're going to have an opportunity to watch and cheer on future NHL stars playing right here in our community, a hockey town to its core. And we've heard tonight about how this team is going to boost the local economy. We've also heard about how the Bulldogs will commit to identifying and supporting Brantford-focused charities that align with the foundation's charitable objectives. And I got to tell you, it's a win. It's a win. It's a win. Everywhere I look, I see nothing but win, which was the approach we took on the negotiations, which was this had to be a mutually beneficial arrangement for both parties. And I think we've arrived at that. And I want to thank very much the Bulldogs organization, and in particular, the owner, Michael Analar, for showing the confidence in Brantford in making this move for the team. And I want to say on behalf of a very grateful community, we're very thankful for that. I also want to thank city staff that were involved in this, like over the Christmas holidays, not taking Christmas vacation. It was a Herculean effort in a very short period of time. And in particular, I want to thank Brian Hutchings. Mr. Hutchings, with his unique sporting knowledge and history, combined with an impressive network of contracts that led us to KKR advisors, without whom it would have been very difficult for the negotiating team to make the progress that we did. You know, we would not have gotten there to the launch pad on this without Mr. Hutchings. I'm telling you that I'm going to miss him greatly. His passionate, energetic pursuit of important initiatives like this that he's done all the way through his tenure with us. But I'm going to miss you, Brian, and I'll talk about that later. So despite this being a very historical achievement to this point, it's just the beginning. There's much more work we need to do in preparing for the Bulldogs stay here in Brantford and making sure that that stay is as long as it possibly can be. So I think we all share that vision, the vision of an OHL team based in our community permanently. And, you know, whether we make this vision that I think many of us share and have, whether we're able to make that vision into a reality is now in our hands, the hands of this community. And we have a once in a generation opportunity to show not only the hockey world, but those doubters out there and the rest of the province and the country that we are a city of winners. And that, yes, we can support an OHL team, not only so it can survive here for 3 years, so that it can thrive here on a permanent basis. That, I think, is the opportunity. We've got a shot at it, and it's up to all of us to support this team, to show that the OHL deserves to be in Brantford, and that we deserve to have an OHL team. So, what do I say? I say, go Bulldogs, go. The Brantford Bulldogs are coming to Brantford. So with that, Mr. Clerk, let's take the vote.
Item 4.1, term sheet for OHL team agreement for Brantford Civic Center carries unanimously on a recorded vote. Members of council vote in favor as follows: Councillor Sullivan, Celeste McCreary, Carpenter, Van Tilburg, Samuel Hunt, Martin Caputo, Sokoli, Mayor Davis.
All right, I think we'll take a 10-minute break then before we resume the business. We do have 2 other items we have to deal with tonight that are unrelated. So let's take a 10-minute break. All right, we're going to resume then. And we do have, we'll move into resolutions. And there is a request to waive the rules so we can deal with a resolution that acknowledges coldest night of the year, which we can't, the only night we can do that would be tonight. So Councillor Sikora, you have a resolution you'd like to put on the floor.
Yes, I do. So I have a motion to waive the rules moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Sullivan. Do you want me to read the entire resolution now or
Yes.
after we vote on it? Okay,
No, so you read it now, and then when you bring, if you the resolution passed, then you don't have to read the full resolution.
perfect. I'll do it now. That's section 15.11.5 and 15.3.12 of chapter 15 of the City of Brantford Municipal Code be waived in order to introduce the following resolution without prior notice of motion, and without having been considered by a committee of the whole or standing committee. So the resolution is as follows. The coldest night of the year, which is February 25th, 2023. Whereas the coldest night of the year is an opportunity for tens of thousands of Canadians to collectively shine a light on homelessness. And whereas people across the country, including members of our community, will walk in the cold to demonstrate concern for vulnerable individuals who do not have a home and require shelter. And whereas each step participants take during the coldest night of the year brings someone closer to safety, health, and home, as together funds are raised for local organizations whose commitment and work transforms people's lives. And whereas members of our community are collecting donations that will fund critical services that support vulnerable families and individuals in our community. And whereas participants who walk in the coldest night of the year will better understand and experience the experience of being on the streets during a cold Canadian winter, while raising funds to aid the Why Not City Missions in Brantford. And whereas the Why Not City Missions works with high-risk youth to stabilize their lives and bring their skills so they can have the opportunity to live independent, productive lives. And whereas in 2021, Why Not City Missions launched Why Not Youth Housing and opened their first house for young men, Charlie's Place, and in 2022, opened the supportive housing for young parents, where their goal is to keep young families together by providing wraparound services from the start. Now, therefore, be it resolved that communication staff be directed to help promote the coldest night of the year on February 25th, 2023, to encourage community members to participate and or donate to this worthy cause. And B, that the city will form a team made up of councillors and city staff who volunteer to participate in the 2023 coldest night of the year in support of Why Not Missions on February 25th.
So your seconder again?
Councillor Sullivan.
All right. So any discussion on the motion to waive? Seeing none, Mr. Deputy Clerk, please take the vote. Again, this requires a 2/3 vote to approve.
Mr. Carpenter?
The motion to waive the rules carries unanimously on a recorded vote of 11-0 with the required 2/3 vote. Members of council voting in favor as follows: Councillor Sullivan, Silas McCreary, Carpenter Van Tilburg, Samuel Hunt, Marn Caputo, Sokoli, Mayor Davis.
All right, so Councillor Scully, you've got the authorization to do it. So you please put the resolution on the floor. You don't need to read it, just the title.
Perfect. So moved by myself and seconded again by my ward mate, Councillor Sullivan. The resolution is now on the floor, and may I speak to it?
Yes.
Thank you. So this event, I think the resolution was pretty thorough, but this event is hosted by the Why Not City Mission, and their goal really is to prevent homelessness, and provide support, supportive services. So the city has shown support for this event in the past. And I know the hardworking staff in our housing department generally always put a team in. So this is not anything new. I just think between our community work, door knocking, and our Let's Talk campaigns, it's pretty clear that homelessness is is an issue that's very important to the residents of Brantford. So I'll be joining the event. I hope I can count on everyone's support. If you can't join the event, I know Mayor Davis already signed up to walk the event with our city team. So I'd encourage and challenge all of our council members as you're able to come out, join. If you can't make it, at the very least donate. And I hope I can count on everyone's support tonight to move this through and come out and participate. That's everything. Thank you.
Great. Councillor Sullivan.
Thank you, Mayor Davis. Through you. I will be fully supporting this. I know the work that Susan and her team have been doing at Why Not Ministries, and I've seen some of the direct results of being able to affect these people's lives by implementing positive, good reinforcement and support. And it's just unbelievable what that this ministry has been able to do. So I'm in full support of it, and I just want to let everybody know. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Caputo.
Thank you, Mayor. Excellent work, Rose. I also believe in this event. 7 years ago, I was involved with it prior to leaving to move on to other areas for my place of business. And we are actually going to be supplying soup that night. So I strongly encourage all of us councilors, please be out there for this worthwhile support. Thanks.
Councillor Carpenter.
Yes, did I hear Councilor Sokoli say she would be our team captain? I think that's a nod. She said she would. So, and I see you can register the teams on the site. And if she would do that, then we could start doing our pledges, and people that want to support us as well could pledge to that site. So Rose, if you, Councilor Sokoli, if you would put that forward, we could sign right away and get involved as a council team. I mean, let's start off after tonight with the Bulldogs, and let's try and have a council team as a team going forward. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Deputy Clerk, please take the vote.
The resolution carries unanimously on recorded votes. Members of council voting in favor are as follows: Councillor Sullivan, Celeste McCreary, Carpenter Van Toborg, Samuel Hunt, Martin Caputo, Sokoli, Mayor Davis.
Thank you. I understand there's one other matter, Councillor Martin, you wanted to bring forward. Again, that'll require a waiver of the rules and has to do with something brought forward from the estimates committee. So you have the floor to bring your resolution for waiver.
Thank you. I move, seconded by Councillor McCurry, that section 15.3.7 of chapter 15 of the City of Brantford Municipal Code be waived in order to introduce the following report without having been set forth in the notice calling for the special council meeting. Estimates Committee Report 23-02-06-2023, Brantford Police Service Operating Budget. And speaking to the need for this, the police board meets on Thursday. Estimates Committee cannot refer this back. It has to be council that refers it back. So this needs to be ratified by council in order to have this go back to the Police Services Board for the meeting on Thursday to have another look at the budget.
So any discussion on the reason for the waiver, Councillor Carpenter?
Yes, I would urge my council colleagues to not support waiving the rules. There's no rush here to have this done. This can be done. We got a special council next week. I just prefer that we don't have any animosity on tonight's agenda when we're looking at a very positive thing with the Brantford Bulldogs, that we don't get into this discussion about the budget in detail we could do that by not waiving the rules tonight and do that next Monday. So I won't be supporting waiving the rules for that reason.
All right, any other discussion regarding the reason for the waiver? Okay, Mr. Deputy Clerk. So again, 2/3 vote required.
The waiving of the rules is lost on recorded vote of 5-6. Members in the voting in favor are as follows: Councillors Celeste McCreary, Martin Sokoli, Mayor Davis. Members opposed: Councillors Sullivan, Carpenter, Van Toborg, Samuel, Hunt, and Caputo.
All right, so we won't be dealing with that resolution. So we'll move that into, we do have to bylaw, the decision made earlier this evening in respect to the Bulldogs, and of course, the resolution regarding the event on February 25th. So I believe we got Councillor Cole. You have the motion to move first and second reading of the confirming bylaw.
Yeah, that moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Sullivan, that leave be given to the mover and seconder to introduce the following bylaw for first and second reading. 15-2023 bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council of the city, the corporation of the city of Brantford with respect to the special meeting held on February 7th, 2023.
So I'll now call the vote on first and second reading. Mr. Deputy Clerk. Whoops.
The first and second reading of bylaw 15-2023 carries unanimously on recorded vote. Members of council voting in favor as follows: Councillors Sullivan, Celeste McCreary, Carpenter, Van Toborg, Samwell, Hunt, Martin Caputo, Sokoli, and Mayor Davis.
All right, Councillor Caputo, could you please read the resolution for the third and final reading of the bylaw?
Moved by myself and my ward mate, Councillor Celeste, that bylaw 15-2023, having received a first and second reading, be taken as read a third time and finally passed and signed by the mayor and clerk.
All right, Mr. Deputy Clerk, please take the vote.
The third and final reading of bylaw 15-2023 carries unanimously on recorded vote. Members of council voting in favor as follows: Councillors Sullivan, Celeste McCreary, Carpenter, Van Toborg, Samwell, Hunt, Martin Caputo, Sokoli, and Mayor Davis.
All right, so that brings to an end our special city council for this evening. We're reconvening tomorrow for estimates.